Hello, this is Gwen Lofton, and the purpose of this screencast is to demonstrate how to send your Google form to somebody once you've completed editing it. So before we send it, there's a few settings we need to double check. So in the top right corner, you're going to click this gear wheel that says Settings. One thing to consider is whether or not you want to know who completed your Google form. If you want to collect email addresses of who's completing it, you select the tick box here that says Collect Email Addresses. If you do that, you have the opportunity to have the people receive a receipt or response receipt of their Google form, which means a copy of their answers. And if you click on this little question mark, you'll see it says respondents receive a copy of their responses. So it's nice for them once they fill it out. They might not remember if they filled it out or what their answers are. So if you're going to collect email addresses, I do suggest giving them at least the option to get a response receipt, and you can choose only if they request it do they get it, or they always get a copy sent to their email. You don't have to collect email addresses, but if you want it to be anonymous, you will not want to collect email addresses actually. If you want to require a sign-in, then that enables it to only be completed by people within our domain, which is Granville County Public Schools. If this is a Google form that you want to be open to anyone, maybe think your parents or your community, then you will not want it to be restricted to those who have a Granville County email address. If you're using this as a quiz, or there's any reason why you only want them to complete it once, you can choose limit to one response. But in order for it to know if they've completed it before, they are going to have to sign in. So that's up to you if you want it to do that. You have the ability to choose whether or not respondents can edit after they've submitted. So can they change their answers? And once they've completed it, can they see a summary of the charts and text responses of what other people have responded? Can they see the results of what others have said? So those are some general settings to consider before you even send out your form. So in this case, I'm going to do collect email addresses. I'm going to give them a response receipt, and I always want it to be sent to them. I am not going to require them to sign in with their Granville County login, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now, once you've set the settings to how you want, you can go ahead and click this Send form in the top right corner. Now, there's 3 ways that you can send your form. Again, this is reiterating that I am asking that they collect email addresses, so you can change that if you would like. The first way to send somebody a form is to email it to them. So if I was emailing this to my coworker, Leah Powell, I would just start typing in her name, and she's in our domain, so her email address would come up. It already puts the subject of the email here, and then I can choose if I want the form to be embedded in the email, or if I would like it to have a link that she would just click on in order to bring it somewhere, a link that she would click on in order for it to take it in a new tab or window. So one way you can send it is through email. The second way that you can send the Google form is by a link. So here's a really long link. I always recommend clicking shorten URL, and you can see the link is a lot shorter. And then you can click copy, or you can see it saying here, hey, you're on a Mac. You can also push Command C, or if you are on a PC, you can do Control C. So I'm going to copy this link. Now, this link could be something I paste on a website. It could be something I put in an email. It could be something I post on a Google slide. That's up to you. But you can send someone your form either directly through email, by a link, or the third one is with Embed Code. An Embed Code just means the Google form is put inside of a web page. So you might be able to embed it in things like if you use PowerSchool Learning or Haiku, if you want to put it on your teacher web page, if you use Google Classroom. And embed just means that they can complete it right within the web page that you already are using. So the 3 options you have for sending your Google form to someone would be through email, a link, and embed. The last thing I want to talk about is how to add somebody else as an editor of your Google form, not just someone completing it, but someone who's editing it. So if you want someone to have rights to edit your form, they're called a collaborator. So you're going to click this button down here, this blue button that says Add Collaborators. And a collaborator, as I said, has the ability to edit your form. They can change the questions, the images, things like that. So if you have someone that you're working with that you want to edit your form, you'll do the same thing where you'll type in their name, and they now have the ability to edit your form. If you want to add a message as it's emailing them, I could say, please take a look at this form and see if it needs any revisions or something like that, and then go ahead and hit send when you're ready. A collaborator, as I've reiterated, is someone who can change your Google form. You also have the ability to add a collaborator by clicking on the three dots and choosing Add Collaborator. So this Google form went over some settings that you might need to change before you send out your form, and then when you're ready to send your form, the three ways that you can, which would be email, link, and embed.